So, Davy, the Aintree Grand National is upon us. Every jockey's dream to win it. You've just won it a few times. How do you do it? Tiger Roll, tell me all about it.
How do I do it? Look, it's something I dreamed about all my life. I try to get advantages here, advantages there, but really at the end of the day, it's the horse. It's the horse. You need a horse that'll take the preliminaries well, will take to the fences well. I was very lucky to come across Tiger Roll at a very late stage of my career. Now, I do feel the couple of rides I had before that, I was placed in it a couple of times, the couple of years previous. Some horses travelled really, really well. The likes of St. Ard was never on the bridle. The whole way through the race, I was flat to the boards. The only thing that kept me in it was he jumped so well. Tiger Roll was a little bit different. He travelled really well. He took really well to the fences. But what he was so fast from jump to jump. He settled really well. And once I was able to do that down over the first half a dozen, over Beechers Brook, over Fine Haven and around Canal Turn, once I was able to do that, then I was happy that he was enjoying himself. And more importantly, I was enjoying myself. So we got into a lovely rhythm. But once again, every time I got to a jump, Tiger was back on the bridle. He was passing horses in the air. I was able to take a pull in every part of the race. I needed to take a pull in. So for me, it was once I and Tiger Roll combined were enjoying myself, then it made the task an awful lot easier. I never thought at any stage of the race I was going to win it. It was all about really me going around with a smile on my face and the horse enjoying himself. And once I was able to do that, the winning of the race can only come really at the very latter stages.
So, with obviously that many runners and you know, that marathon trip, really what you're saying is it's about creating that little bubble around you and the horse.
Exactly. You've hit the nail on the
Basically,
head.
space creation. You're making yourself a little bit of room everywhere. You're getting into a good rhythm. But Tiger Roll, obviously those Aintree fences are so different to anywhere else, but would you have said he was the greatest jumper of a regulation fence? Going into the race, did he give you a lot of confidence that he would just take straight to them fences? Because watching him, he took some chances over a regulation fence. But why was he so good over there?
If I have to be brutally honest here, no, my flight, I had about an hour to make my flight after the Grand National. I was quite happy I was going to make it because I was full sure he was going to fall at the first.
Unbelievable.
It was, genuinely was unbelievable. He's just an extraordinary horse, and that's the beauty of the Grand National.
Would you say then, economics,
yes.
economical?
He
Is
was
that how
fast.
you can win a Grand National?
He was fast, and he was enjoying himself. And once he could land at the back of a fence and be on the bridle, there's nothing worse, and I think it's very difficult that when you land at the back of a fence and you have to hold your position. So as you said rightly, I was the boss of my area in the race. So it was like I was riding my own race. I was in about, 7th, 8th, 10th position, that first third of the race. But I was bossing everything around me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was never under any pressure. Now, saying that, coming to the Canal Turn the first time, it got very crowded.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to get in a row with another horse to try and, upset my rhythm. So I had to take my medicine at that part of the race, but I didn't lose any ground. I lost my kind of bossiness of the race at that point, but again, I didn't have to sacrifice position. So always, when we got around that little melee of that turn there, where it gets a little bit crowded, and I was still able to hold my position, I got back into my rhythm again. His jumping stayed the same. It stayed fast and low. Now, it wasn't a brilliant feeling, but I was never felt at any stage that he was going to fall, or he was never going to do anything silly. But again, I always get back to getting back on the bridle. It's a long, long way to go. And once, as you rightly mentioned about Protectorate, he settled really well and he got back on the bridle and he took his breathing worked really well. So for me, in a Grand National, you have to accept that you need to fill the tank more times than a normal race. And for me, it was easy to do on Tiger Roll that I was able to fill the tank up.
So when, as a jockey, you're riding in the Grand National, you never think you're going to win the Grand National.
Never.
But at what point did you think, I have a chance here, and then you thought, I'm going to win the National?
Yeah.
But you did it twice.
Yeah, the first year, both were very different. So the first year, I felt crossing the Melling Road, I just had to keep things as they were. But he shut down the engines. He shut down underneath me, and then I felt I needed to get upside the horse to restart the engines. Now, I didn't know if that would work or not. I was taking a guess. And luckily enough, when I got back upside the Willie Mullins horse, Tiger came back on the bridle. Again, a little bit premature. I got there a little bit earlier than I would have liked, but down to the last, I spotted probably one of the only jumps in the race that I spotted 10 strides away. Nothing can go wrong here. I just had to keep doing the same thing down to the last. He winged it, landed, and ran like a terrier at the back of it. Just ran towards the line. Everything's going smooth. Again, I don't want to get down and start rowing and driving him away too early. So we got to the elbow, rowing away, everything's going grand. Kept his concentration up, and all of a sudden he spots the water on the inside of the track. If you remember Devon Locke years ago, he probably done something similar. He spotted the water and Tiger Roll thought he had enough. His race was run. He thought he was at the finish line. And all of a sudden he started to back underneath me. I could feel the crowd gathering in around me. The noise level was huge. As you know, in Aintree, the crowd starts earlier on the straight because it's such a long grandstand. And I could feel them coming. I knew there was something coming. I didn't know what it was, and I knew I needed to get to that line as fast as I possibly could. Luckily, when we hit the line, David Mullins just whizzed by me. I didn't know if I'd won it or not. My first thought was, all my life, I've dreamed about winning a Grand National. I've dreamed about taking part in a Grand National. I finally have got the opportunity to win it, and I thought it had been grasped away from me at the final moment. So
it wasn't, Davy.
It wasn't, and it was something to behold, the feeling. And unfortunately, it can only happen to one jockey every year. But that's the beauty of it. That feeling that comes down and takes away all the early mornings, all the broken bones, all the grafting from when you were a kid up until that moment had just been released away from me, and it was pure and utter joy.
Well, you've won the Grand National twice. Davy, I'd love to win the Grand National.
And I can feel it from you, and I can sense it from you. And don't let that override your emotions on the day. All I can tell you is, on the day, you ride your horse, you find your pocket in the race, and you be the boss of that pocket. And whatever happens after that is going to happen. You cannot, like you did on Protectorate, you made Protectorate win that race because you rode the best race. In a Grand National, you just ride your pocket, you ride your horse, and you must go around with a smile on your face and enjoy it. And once you do that, there's no more you can do.
Well, thanks very much. I've had the best instructions, and fingers crossed, I can get the same feelings you got.
Absolutely, definitely. I'll be shouting for you from the grandstands anyway.
Thanks.